The MSU Dairy Store is a must-see for Spartan students and alumni. Maybe you like the Big Ten flavors, like Sesquicentennial Swirl, Buckeye Blitz, and Maize and Berry. Or maybe you like something more classic, like Mint Chocolate Chunk or Butter Pecan. Or maybe you just like to grab a gooey grilled cheese and a tomato soup on Mondays. But few of us Spartans really know what goes on behind the scenes. Well, it all begins here at the MSU Dairy Teaching and Resource Center. Every other week, Josh Clark, a student employee at the MSU Dairy Store, clambers into a tanker truck and drives here to College Road, where he loads approximately 1,500 gallons of milk into the tank. Then, Clark heads back to Anthony Hall and unloads the milk into large storage tanks, while the various pipes, vats, and tanks are being prepared and sanitized. The next day, Dairy Operations Coordinator Rodney Clark pasteurizes the milk and begins filling 2 vats, one 500 gallons and one 300. On this particular day, Rodney Clark and his students are preparing cheddar and Dogano cheeses. Dogano is MSU's own special brand of Edam cheese. First, the milk is heated and continually stirred until it reaches a steady 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, Clark adds the culture. Once again, the milk is stirred as the culture dissolves. Then, Clark adds 3 chemicals, annatto, which is a cheese coloring, rennet, and calcium chloride. These last 2 help to give the cheese its consistency. After the rennet goes in, the batches of milk are stirred for a precise amount of time, depending on the cheese. Then, the milk starts to gel. Clark and Scott Lusk, a student employee, then cut the gelled substance with a set of horizontal and vertical knives. The mixture continues to separate, and slowly the whey is drained off, with Clark and Lusk periodically monitoring the acidity levels. When most of the whey is drained, the curds are trenched along the edges of the vats. They start to clump together and look more like the cheese we're used to seeing in the store. For the cheddar, these cheese mats are cut and stacked and turned, allowing the curds to clump together further and squeeze out even more whey. Eventually, Clark and Scott run the cheese mats through a mill that slices them into what consumers would recognize as curds. The large curds are then salted and stirred and stacked into containers to go into the A-frame cheese press where the whey is squeezed out. Then, the cheese is packaged and refrigerated until it is sold. The following week, ice cream production begins. Josh Clark makes the drive up to Ovid to get cream from the Michigan Milk Producers Association. The cream is brought back to the dairy plant where Clark adds a powdered milk, sugar, and a stabilizer to help thicken and flavor the cream. This mixture is then pasteurized and homogenized. The next day, the freezing process begins. Coloring and flavoring are added, and the mixture goes through a freezer. It's about the consistency of a Frosty when the pieces, cookie dough hunks, chocolate chunks, and the like, are added. Rodney Clark and student employees Marissa Costa, Savannah Prey, and Scott Lusk help to package the ice cream in large tubs or in half-gallon boxes. Then it goes into the freezer at -28 degrees until it gets sold.